Hey guys, Trevor Hold here. Welcome to another episode of the Who Are We podcast, a series that's looking at identity and just talking to different people about who they are and what they stand for, hoping that it may inspire other people to look internally into who they are and hopefully create better outcomes for people exploring this question for themselves. Today we have a special guest, Erik Kershaw. How are you going, Eric?
Doing very well, Trevor. Thank you very much.
Just before we get going, Eric, I just have a bit of a disclaimer. This is a public video. I'm recording this session. We're going to post it on the YouTube podcast and provide links on LinkedIn and other social networks just for people to be able to view this video publicly. So with that in mind, we'll get straight into it and just ask the question, who is Erik Kershaw and what does he stand for?
Right. So obviously a rather complex question to answer in a short sentence. I think I'll take the second part of that. What do I stand for? Yep. Most recently in my life, the thing that engages me, the thing that drives me in life is assisting and motivating others in personal change. And that's on the mental health and mental well-being side of things, and on the physical fitness and physical activity side of things. And it's been a fairly recent journey in my own life as well to put those two things together and really see how they work so well together and what that impact is. And now just being able to take that and help other people in that process and help other people in that same journey. That's what gets me out of bed every morning.
Yeah. So I'm just hearing that the main focus is trying to tie together physical attributes with the mental side of things and coming up with strategies to create better outcomes for other people around you. Is it basically a summary?
Yeah, well, my own mental health history was something that I worked with, struggled with, all the rest of those words over a long period of time to find a good place in my own life. And I realized fairly late, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I realized fairly late that physical fitness was a big part of that equation. And it wasn't until the last few years that I started to put that part of the puzzle together and realize how well those two things go hand in hand. I'd also put a third leg on that stool, which is nutrition. So, 3 legs of that chair to make it stay nice and balanced. And that's good strategies for mental health and mental well-being, good strategies for physical activity. Doesn't mean, being a massive gym junkie, but just staying active and doing the things that are good for us in life. And then also being aware of our nutrition and how important that is, both in our physical well-being and mental health. When we eat well, we can think well.
Yeah, and it's important, I suppose, just to reflect on that they are all recognize that they are all interlinked. And from what you're saying is your experience, personal experience, has discovered that through many years of life and living, and now you're just trying to help other people with some of the learnings that you found by just stressing the importance and tying them three legs of that stool together in hope that other people can get on a journey without feeling so much pain or so much angst in their life, basically, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, pardon me, we're getting a visitor from one of my cats. She always wants to come and say hello. I have never been one of those people who took other people's life lessons well. Right? Like a hard-won life lesson from another individual, and then they come to me and go, let me share a bit of wisdom with you. Just kind of like water off a duck's back, for whatever reason in my life, the lessons I had to learn myself the hard way and go through it myself. I wish I had been able to learn some things easier, but I didn't. And it took me until I was far older than I should have been to get comfortable with going into a gym and realizing that how important physical fitness was to my mental health, to my overall well-being, to my sense of confidence, what an impact it's had on my anxieties around social connection. Yeah, it's had a massive impact. And then nutrition with that as well, to really start to look at what I was taking in, how I was using food in my life, and just having a very different relationship with that now. Very different relationship has changed a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you should say that, Eric. Relationship with food, that's quite resonates with me in the fact that generally when I'm stressed or when I'm feeling anxious or upset or something, generally it's a food comfort that I indulge in, which obviously creates negative impacts, and that if that continues for long periods of time, I suppose that's where you start getting the negative health impacts on that. So I think your words, relationship, and how what your relationship is with your food, I think is a good message, worth emphasizing.
Mm. It was really a learning process for me in just becoming a lot more aware of what was in the food I was eating, being aware of what my food habits were. So like when I work with someone now and people come and go, what should I do with my food? What should I do with my diet? My very first response is, for the next 2 weeks, change nothing. Don't worry about changing anything. Just write down everything you eat and drink for the next 2 weeks. So the first step isn't about changing. The first step is just about becoming aware of what it is that you're actually doing. What's your current pattern now? And just write that down. Write down everything you do for the next 2 weeks. Don't worry about what it is. Don't change anything. Write it down. And then we'll have a look at it and go, okay, do you really see what's happening here? And what a kind of eye-opening experience that is, to go back and look at that and go, oh, right, I didn't realize that I was doing, that. I didn't realize I was having, 3 or 4 of those very sugary style drinks every day, or, whatever it is, where those things creep in at, or I didn't this is a really big one. I didn't realize how little protein I was getting every day. That's a massive one. I thought I was eating a lot of food. Yep, sure, eating a lot of food, but is there protein in there?
Yeah. So awareness, you feel is something that you're very passionate about. Just trying to get, not so much dictating to people. It's just trying to create that conversation of awareness and trying to build on that to get positive outcomes and work with them on that.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't want to dictate anything to anybody. And it comes to change, comes to life change. Do you want to change?
Yeah.
And that's a really valid question for anyone and everyone. Do you want to change? And if the answer is yes, okay, cool. Let's have a look at what that looks like for you, because your journey to change is going to be different than anyone else's journey to change. And honestly, if the answer is no, do you want to change? No. Okay, no dramas. That's your decision. I'm not here to change anybody in that. But I do want to assist people if that answer is yes, and they're asking for help in doing so.
Yeah.
How do I do this? Right. I know when I went to the gym, when I finally got myself into a gym because I needed to sort myself out, I so much fell in love with going to the gym and starting to get fit and how that felt to me, that I wanted to learn everything I possibly could about it. That was the very next thing for me. It was like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. This is so eye-opening to me. Now, what am I actually doing here? So I went and got my certifications, very basic kind of entry-level certifications into physical fitness. But it was such a learning process and changed the way I look at movement, the way I look at the human body, the way I look at all of that has completely changed now. And it's not difficult stuff. It's pretty simple, and it's just following the basics. I still kind of laugh when you go into a bookstore, you go into a library, and you look at the fitness section or the health section, and there's shelf upon shelf and hundreds of books. You go, really, this could be boiled down to about 10 or 20 pages, and we're done. Like we don't need all of these different books to do this. It's pretty simple stuff. It's just a matter of actually applying it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And thanks for joining us today and discussing these issues. So basically, in summary, I've got from this that Eric likes cats for starters.
Yeah, I have a few cats. Yeah, I have a few. They're my friends. Yeah.
And just trying to create awareness on other people's behaviors to try and create improvement if they wanted to, and that's what you're about, is just trying to empower other people to self-reflect and understand themselves, and if they want change, you're there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from a long time ago, that idea of if you want to succeed at something, find people who are successful in that field and do what they do.
Yep.
And when I tried to sort my own mental health issues out and my own anxiety issues out, was to find people who dealt with the same type of struggles and go, okay, what did you do? How do you do this on a day-to-day basis? When I first started going into the gym, I looked at people who I felt I could connect with, who looked fit, who looked like they knew what they were doing. And I went, okay, what do you do? Like, how did you go about this? And it's now getting to that point where people approach me and say, hey, what do you do? Like, how do I do this? How do I program for that? What should I do with my food? What should I do? And it's really wonderful to be in a position to help other people through that process. That I did go through it and still go through it.
Yeah, and doing things that you love to do, because obviously I can see a lot of passion and a lot of confidence that you're trying to help other people and that happiness that brings you. So do you think that helps with your mental health or your overall well-being as well, by having that feeling that I'm doing what I want to do and being the best I can be, at the same time helping other people create similar outcomes for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there was one of the guys that I work with who's also a trainer. We were talking about a motivation theory recently. He's going through a sports psychology program at the moment. We're talking about motivation theory and this idea of external and internal motivation. External motivation. I am motivated to do this because if I do it, I'll get a reward. Or if I don't do this, I'm going to get a punishment. Right. So sure, there's motivation, but it's a completely external thing. Internal motivation. This thing aligns with my values, and I feel naturally motivated to do that, right? To do that thing. And this is, first of all, knowing values. That's an important part. Knowing what what an individual's values are, so that they can align. I can align my day-to-day activities with what's valuable to me, and that is a massive part of that motivation. And like I said in the beginning, that's what wakes me up in the morning. It's what gets me up out of bed, and off I go, because what I'm doing is valuable to me. Having a contribution in some way on an individual level or on a group level. If it's a group fitness class, having a bunch of people come in and run a group fitness class together, or have a bunch of people come in and do a mental health strategy workshop. Those are great things.
Yeah, and again, just thanks for sharing all that with us, Eric, and hopefully maybe as the series progress, we might be able to get you back in and have a further chat in the future.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Trevor.
No worries. Thank you. Bye.